One of my favorite things to do at Christmas is decorating the tree. I love making homemade ornaments to put on our tree. So let's jump right in and make some ornaments. Hi, my name is Katie from Lady Red Crafting, and let's get started with craft number 1. So for this craft, we're going to start out with some shower curtain rings from the Dollar Tree. The first thing I'm going to do is glue that shower curtain ring shut, so that way it's a single ring. Next, I grabbed some fun yarn. This is that big yarn that you would use to make those chunky blankets with. Using a dab of hot glue on our shower curtain ring, I'll take the yarn and I'll go ahead and attach that to the ring. And then I'm just going to wrap the yarn around the ring until we cover the whole entire ring. And every 2 or 3 wraps, I do add a little bit of hot glue because I want to make sure this stays on nice and tight. And now that our wreath is complete, I'm going to go ahead and add a ribbon to the wreath to make for our hanger. And this step is optional, but I don't want the knot to show on the hanger, so I'm going to go ahead and hot glue that to the wreath, and we're going to cover that with some embellishments. So I found this greenery at the Dollar Tree this year, and I really like it. It looks very rustic, but also very authentic. And I just go ahead and I cut 2 little pieces off, and I'm going to make a little swag. And in the center of the swag, I'm going to hot glue 3 little silver and white balls. And you could do whatever color you'd like, but I thought these little berries looked cute. And now this ornament is complete and ready to hang on your tree. I just love how this one turned out. Craft number 2. So I found this really cozy fabric at the Dollar Tree and thought, let's make an ornament out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and just unwrap the fabric so that way we can cut a small piece out of the fabric. And I like these wood stars from the Dollar Tree, but I wanted to do something a little bit different with it. So we're going to cover this with the fabric. Once we have our fabric cut out, I did want to add my hanger to my star shape before we started gluing the fabric on. So you'll see me here adding a little hanger to our star, and we're going to hot glue that to the piece of wood. Next, we're going to go ahead and hot glue the fabric to the star. We're not going to try cutting it out first. I want to glue the fabric on the star first. So that's what you're going to see me doing on both sides of the star. Excited to tell you about this fun playlist I'm part of this month called the Christmas Ornament Playlist, hosted by Crafty Hints, Rustic and Lace DIY, and 6 Kids and a Glue Gun. This playlist and a link to these wonderful ladies are all listed in my description box below. Please check out all the talented creators and give them some love. Thank you! So now that our fabric is glued to our star, I'm taking some very sharp scissors and I'm going to just cut the star shape out. And while you're cutting the star shape out, just be careful not to cut the hanger. Now, for the next step here, I'm using a corded ribbon, and we're going to hot glue that all the way around the edge of the star, and this will just finish our ornament off and make it look so cute. And now that our trim is attached, our star is complete, ready to hang on our tree. If you like what you're seeing so far, please hit that subscribe button below. Craft number 3. So I found these beautiful napkins on Amazon the other day, and I thought these would be so cute for decoupaging. So we're going to use them on our ornaments. So we're going to start out with a wood sliced ornament. And you've probably seen these at Dollar Tree or other craft stores, and this is a great base for our beautiful craft. Next, we're going to paint this with some white Waverly chalk paint. And while that is drying, I'm going to go ahead and measure out a small circle on the back side of the napkin. And this is the piece of the napkin that I want to use for decoupaging on our ornament. Once we have our circle cut out, I do remove the other layers on the back side of the napkin so that we're only using the top layer of our napkin. So now let's grab some Mod Podge and go ahead and paint a nice layer of the Mod Podge over the top of our wood slice. And once our Mod Podge has completely dried, I lay the piece of napkin over the top of our wood slice. Next, I grab a piece of parchment paper and my hot iron, and I just iron my napkin right onto the ornament. And using my zip sander, I go ahead and I sand off any excess napkin on our ornament. Now let's grab our Mod Podge again and then paint a nice thin coat over the top of our napkin to seal our ornament. And once everything is dry, I use some ribbon and I'm going to go ahead and make a hanger for our ornament. And I'm just going to weave that through on the eye hook there and just tie a knot at the top of our ribbon. And to complete our ornament, I'm going to go ahead and add a cute gingham bow to the top of our ornament with some hot glue. And now our ornament is complete and ready to display on our tree. Craft number 4. Let's start out with these wood-shaped snowflakes that I found at the Dollar Tree. So we're going to grab some twine and I'm going to cut a piece that's about 12 inches in length. And we're going to weave it through the center of our snowflake. Next, let's grab some Scotch tape and we're going to go ahead and tape the two pieces of twine together and wrap that around so it's almost like a shoelace. And this will make it so much easier to add our beads. Once I added my beads, I did forget to tie a knot, so I did add a knot on the end of the snowflake so that they wouldn't push the snowflake in a weird direction. Now let's tie a knot at the top of our string and cut off the excess Scotch tape. So now let's add our embellishments. I found these beautiful paper flowers at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to add one of each flowers on each side of our snowflake. Next, I'm using my gold ribbon, and this is the really thin gold ribbon, and I made a tiny little bow. I'm going to hot glue this bow to the knot at the bottom of our beads. And what a cute, fun ornament to make. These would fit nice on a regular sized tree or work really well on a small mini tree. Craft number 5. So I found these cinnamon pine cones at the Dollar Tree, and these work great for ornaments. We're also going to need some fake fur and a scarf from the Dollar Tree. Our first step is cutting a 2x2 square, approximately, it doesn't have to be perfect, from the fur. Next, we're going to hot glue the fur to our pine cone. When I hot glue it about 3/4 of the way up on the pine cone because I still want a little bit of that pine cone showing on the top. Now we'll set the pine cone aside for a few minutes and we're going to grab our scarf, and I'm going to cut a 6-inch square from our scarf. To make sure that we have a nice edge, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue a little piece of the scarf down on top of itself because I want to use that fold around the pine cone, and that's going to go over the top of the fur. And we're going to go ahead and hot glue that piece of scarf to each other on the back side of this pine cone. So I'm going to continue to hot glue the scarf to each other to make almost like a tube on the top of our pine cone. Now I'm going to grab some polyfill and fill the top of our pinecone hat up with some polyfill. Once I have my hat to the height that I would like it, I'm taking a ribbon. I'm just going to tie a knot at the top of where the hat should end. Now I found these pom-pom makers at the Dollar Tree a few months ago, and I'm going to use the blue one here to make a little pom-pom. And using some yarn, I'm just going to wrap that yarn around the side of this pom-pom maker. And you go ahead and you just wrap it around as many times as you'd like for as thick of a pom-pom as you would like to have. And once I get that side done, I'm going to repeat this step on the opposite side. And we're just going to cut the piece of yarn about 4 inches too long, just so we have something to tie the pom-pom up with later on. So now that we have both sides complete, we fold them together and make our circle. Next, I grab a pair of sharp scissors and I'm going to trim down the center where we just finished wrapping. And there's a little groove in the pom-pom maker that makes it easier to do. Now I'm going to take the piece of string that we were using earlier and we're going to wrap that around where that groove is, because that groove actually has a line that goes all the way down to the center, which allows you to tie a knot on that pom-pom. For good measures, I'm going to go ahead and wrap one more piece of yarn down that groove and tie a second set of knots, because I just want to make sure this pom-pom stays together. Now's the fun part. You get to unwrap your pom-pom maker and see how your pom-pom turns out. And once we remove the pom-pom, you are going to need to give it a small haircut to trim up some of those pieces of yarn so it all is even. And once you're satisfied with your pom-pom, I go ahead and I tie that pom-pom around the top of our hat. And now that our pom-pom is attached, I'm going to trim off any excess pieces of that scarf so that the pom-pom is at the very top of the hat. And then this would be a great time to trim any of that extra ribbon or pieces of yarn, just so that the hat looks nice and finished on the top. Before we forget, we do need a hanger for our ornament. So I do take a piece of ribbon and I tie that around the pom-pom, and then I'm going to make a loop and then tie that together so that way we have a way of hanging our little gnome on our Christmas tree. Now the beard is a little bit square and big, so I am going to take my scissors and I'm just going to trim it up just to make it more beard shape. To make sure that that beard stays in place, I do add a little bit extra hot glue. And now for our last step, I do hot glue a wood bead underneath the hat and to the beard. And now our happy little gnome is ready to hang on our Christmas tree. And if you're enjoying this video, please hit that subscribe button below. Craft number 6. So for our next craft, we're going to use a pine cone, a snowflake ornament, and a small wood slice. We're going to start out by spray painting our pine cone. And I'm just going to use some white spray paint for this pine cone. So while the pine cone is drying, we're going to take our ornament and our slice, and I'm going to add a little piece of tape to each of them so they don't move around when we're trying to paint them. I'm taping these pieces onto a paintable surface, and we're going to grab our chalk paint in the color white. And now we're going to go ahead and paint both sides of each of these pieces. So we'll start out with one side, let that dry, and then we'll flip them over and get the other side as well. And once our paint has dried, I'm going to go ahead and give a coat of Mod Podge on the top of our snowflake. And we're going to then add some fake snow over the top of that Mod Podge while it is still wet. So I got one of these bags of snow at Dollar Tree, and they work out great for different crafts like this. And once our snowflake has dried, I went ahead and added a hanger to the top of our snowflake. Now let's put our little angel together. We're going to start by hot gluing the wood slice to the top of our pine cone, and that's going to be the head for our little angel. Next, we'll hot glue our pine cone to the snowflake, and you're going to have to press down pretty hard on the snowflake to get the pine cone to stick to it because it's not a very even surface. And now our Pinecone Angel is complete. She is so beautiful. Now let's hang her on the tree with our other ornaments. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Please remember, craft more, stress less.